Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, January 31st, 2019. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. $93 million have been allocated for the health sector in this year's budget estimates. This represents an increase of 8.4% when compared to last year's figure. Minister of Health Luke Brown said they are satisfied with this allocation, noting that laboratory services is a new addition to the 6 services already being offered in the health sector, which have also received an increase as outlined in the estimates.
So policy, planning and administration, $18 million. Hospital services, $36 million, you would say. And you would note that this hospital service provision is up from where it was last year at $33 million. So there's a $3 million increase in hospital service. And I'll get to some of the reason why we have such an increase here as we go on in the course of this presentation. We have community health services, 13 plus almost $14 million. Geriatric care services, we have a provision of 2.81, I'll say 2.2, or rather $2.3 million, Mr. Speaker, but this doesn't tell the whole story of what we plan to do for geriatric care or we plan to do for our elderly, because there's a very specific capital project which captures some of the government intentions in relation to the Lewis Punnett home and its residents. We have, Mr. Speaker, mental health services with an allocation of $4.6 million, environmental health services with an allocation of $5.2 million, and we have laboratory services, the brand new baby which has come to our ministry in its own form of $3.3 million, Mr. Speaker.
Minister Brown said 2 additional polyclinics will be opened this year, while the Modern Medical and Diagnostic Center in Georgetown will be upgraded with more human resource. This, he said, will help to improve the health services at these institutions with the opening up of some 78 new positions.
15 staff nurses, 1 cook. Staff nurses, by the way, and Vincentian trained staff nurses are in high demand these days. And we have several recruitment approaches by persons from different parts of the world interested in getting their hands on our nurses. That's because we are in the peculiar position compared to our neighbors of having some extra nurses, so to speak. Mr. Speaker, so we have kitchen assistant. We have 1 kitchen assistant, 3 ambulance drivers, 1 driver, a senior physiotherapist, and a senior pharmacist. So you see, we are providing the resources, 1, to make sure that we could provide excellent services at the Modern Medical and Diagnostic Center, and also, Mr. Speaker, at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital.
The health minister said they also plan to hire a chief executive officer and install a board of directors to help manage the affairs at both the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital and the Modern Medical Diagnostic Center. Capital projects are less this year, which he said was mainly due to the incompletion of some projects from last year, which will continue this year. In the health sector, Minister Brown said several new projects will commence this year, along with upgrades and rehabilitation of several health facilities across the country.
Sandy Bay, Camden Park, Union Island, and the Rose Hall Nursing Quarters. There's a project for the improvement to primary health care. There's a project for the purchase of vehicles, and in particular, a 4-ton truck for medical stores. There's a project, Mr. Speaker, for the purchase of equipment for the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. We mentioned the 10th EDF already, which is coming to a conclusion. There's a project for hospital and dental equipment and obtaining their supplies. The Modern Medical Complex project is still here because we have some outstanding expenses to take care of from that project. The development of geriatric care services, phase 1, I commented on that extensively when I was talking about the Lewis Punnett home. We have the refurbishment, Mr. Speaker, of the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital from local sources to the tune of $750,000, and this aims to deal with a very, very difficult problem concerning the outpatient department at the hospital.
Meanwhile, opposition spokesperson of Health and Member of Parliament for West Kingstown, Daniel Cummings, said there is nothing new for health in the estimates this year, which will improve the quality of healthcare services for Vincentians. Cummings said that many of the services in the health sector should not be separated, especially at the diagnostic center, noting that it is a waste of resources.
The main hospital, the smart hospital, the modern medical facility, providing the same. You see, Mr. Speaker? You see, Mr. Speaker? When I speak like this, you know, some want to think it's politics, or that I speak as a show-off. Mr. Speaker, this is common sense. This is common sense. The costs associated with running that facility would have been much less if it were part of your main hospital. You don't have to double up and triple up on all these additional things. And Mr. Speaker, you know, what is ironic is that while you're employing all these additional nurses and other professionals, those same people would be in a position to render much better service as part of the general hospital than at a confined facility where the scope is limited.
On the issue of the hiring of a chief executive officer to help manage the affairs at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital and the Diagnostic Center, Cummings disagreed with this move. He also said that something has to be done about the relocation of the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital and that major works have to be done to create a healthy environment at the main hospital facility. Cummings said, too, that on a visit to the Mariqua Health Center sometime last year, he noticed the worrying trend taking place there.
See modern equipment, chairs, beds, everything sitting there. Clearly it's been sitting there for quite some time. On close observation, I saw that the hinges on the doors already start to rust. But the facility has not been opened as yet. You know, Mr. Speaker, when we build these facilities from wherever we get the resources, and we allow equipment to sit idle for a year, that has a very severe implication for the operation and maintenance of those equipment. And I really don't understand why we do these things. Why this facility? Nobody said anything. And nobody gave any explanation why. Maybe it's waiting for the politically opportune time for a grand opening, only to find that the equipment wouldn't work. That is the kind of behavior, Mr. Speaker, that should not happen in the field of health.
Still in health care, Director of the HIV/AIDS Prevention and Control Unit, Ferosa Roach, who has responsibility for immunization in the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, today rebuffed claims made in Parliament this week by an opposition MP that there was a lack of tetanus vaccine in the country. In a news release, Roach said that there was never a situation in the country in the past 6 months or in the past 18 years, for that matter, when there was no tetanus toxoid vaccine in the country. She also said that there was never a situation in the same period when there were insufficient doses of the vaccine on hand to meet the needs of the population. According to Roach, the Chief Medical Officer, as per the EPI program, said that the tetanus toxoid vaccine is currently administered to all children when they enter primary school, with a booster shot given prior to entering secondary school, and that in 2018, all children requiring scheduled tetanus vaccines received them and everyone else. The director of the HIV/AIDS STI Prevention and Control Unit said the most recent shipment of tetanus toxoid vaccine to the ministry was received on November 27, 2018, and that presently there is a stock level of 2,000 doses, which is sufficient to cover the target population. Meanwhile, for agriculture, $45 million have been allocated to the sector in the 2019 budget estimates. 12 services in the sector are expected to benefit from this allocation. 9 of the services received an increase, while 3 saw a reduction, which include the banana services sector. The increases this year will go towards wages, which Minister of Agriculture Sobota Caesar explained will be for extension services.
In salaries and wages, and there's a noticeable 11% increase also reflected, and it reflects the additional temporary workers recruited under extension and advisory and research and development in 2018. These persons will continue to 2019. Mr. Speaker, the extension and advisory services has witnessed a 57% increase in wages compared to 2018. And the main reason, we are going to adopt the commodity approach in 2019, and farmers have complained over the years about the extension services, and we need to have more soldiers on the ground.
Minister Caesar said the marketing of local commodities will also be a focused area this year, as they will seek to find more markets for farmers regionally and internationally. He said loans will be made available to farmers who need to expand their production, and a revolving fund that farmers can take advantage of.
The point that the monies from the Farmers Support Company, that there is a special project with Vinci Fresh and other agro-processors to ensure that persons, when they plant a crop, they can also be assured of a market and the value addition aspect. And I want to encourage our farmers to participate in the program and to appreciate that as a business we have to ensure that the fund revolves.
Renovations and enhancements to structures will also be carried out this year, including works at the SVG Bureau of Standards to the tune of $284,000. Former Prime Minister Sir James Mitchell has expressed disappointment with the position that CARICOM, which includes St. Vincent and the Grenadines, has taken with regards to Venezuela. Speaking on Boom FM this week, Sir James claimed that the CARICOM leaders who favored Nicolas Maduro have no feelings for the thousands of Venezuelans suffering under his regime.
For the signatories to this resolution, do they regret the U.S. rescuing Grenada? I have to be consistent in. I was the first person to call for help for Grenada. I was on radio and television and then on CNN saying that my neighbor Grenada is suffering. The people of Grenada are suffering. Remember, 65 people had to run from the military and jump off a cliff and died. My concern is we should not be silent when in our Caribbean we have seen the creeping effect of the destruction by a government of the institutions in a country, of the policies being established of socialism that creates poverty. I'm concerned that proper recognition be given to suffering. I am concerned we stand up for the oppressed.
Sir James said fresh elections should be held in Venezuela, noting that there are far-reaching consequences for countries who support Maduro's presidency.
Our position here, whether we stand up with the United States or we stand aside, our choice will be known historically. In my view, we have a lot of debts with Venezuela, and we should bear in mind, if there is a change of government, The first thing we should be doing is lobbying to make sure we get rid of all the debts and get our debts from Venezuela written off. So if you do not stand up for somebody when they're suffering and they're depressed, then don't expect that they will be kind towards you when they come into their kingdom.
Sir James said he foresees troubling times ahead for Venezuelans if the situation is not resolved amicably, and that he will be writing to CARICOM to state his position, and he hopes good sense will prevail. Meanwhile, speaking on Tuesday's Court of Appeal ruling on the case involving the 3 former teachers who unsuccessfully contested the December 2010 elections on the New Democratic Party ticket, Sir James said the trio should further challenge the matter in the High Court locally for the loss of salaries for the period they were without a job, as it was a gross injustice done to them.
They should be compensated. I go further and say they should be compensated for loss of salary in that period. And perhaps this is the next thing they should do, is to take that matter to court. And one thing they show, I don't expect that the government will want to go to the Privy Council as I did on the Otley Hall matter. They, of course, are waiting for the CCJ to rule over everything. If you are unemployed and you are entitled to a job and you no longer have the job, it means that you are losing money. And money is property. Okay. In my view, I may be wrong. I don't worry that if I'm wrong, but I am suggesting that that is a matter that the government should address.
17 youngsters have been enrolled for the 2nd SVG Police Force Band Apprentice program this year, and another 3 were retained from last year's program. The Apprentice program is a collaborative effort by the RSVG Police Force and the Youth Affairs Division in the Ministry of National Mobilization, which is an extension of the Youth Empowerment Service, the YES program. At today's opening ceremony at the Old Police Band Room at Old Montrose, Administrator of the Youth Affairs Division, Ina Walters, told the participants that the program aims to assist in their development. She asked that they take full advantage of the opportunity afforded to them.
It is a worthwhile venture, and you are going to gain a skill for life. What you learn in this program cannot be taken away from you. And even after you would have left the police band, or even if you would have left the police force, you can be employed. Or even during the time, you can have so many entertainment and things that you can do with this skill that you've learned. So it is a worthwhile thing, and you have chosen this as a lifelong activity that you will be involved in. So let me applaud you for choosing the Band Apprentice program again.
Also addressing the opening ceremony was Police Commissioner Colin John, who said that they are in the process of re-establishing the defunct police band, and the successful participants will automatically gain employment with the band.
You have members of the band, you are employed with the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but persons are also employed from time to time in community bands where they are able to make extra income. And that is not something to be slighted. If I'm to ask persons here today, what are the qualifications of the academic qualifications, that is, of persons like Rihanna or Jay-Z or Beyonce, no one would be able to tell about their academic qualifications. They came to prominence because of their ability to entertain and to perform. So you can be gainfully employed as a result of learning and learning properly to be a musician, and we are giving you that opportunity today.
Local police are investigating an incident which occurred around 4:30 p.m. yesterday at Arnesville, resulting in the death of a 47-year-old laborer of the same address. The police say Ricky Andrews succumbed to injuries he sustained following an alleged altercation with another laborer also of Arnesville. Andrews was pronounced dead by the district medical officer on the scene. The police say a post-mortem examination is expected to be performed on the body to ascertain the cause of death, and that a 57-year-old laborer is assisting the police with their investigations. This is the second homicide for the year, both of which occurred in the Arnisvale area. Earlier this month, a young man was shot and killed in the pole yard at Arnisvale. The police are also investigating the circumstances surrounding a shooting incident which occurred in Ottley Hall around 9 p.m. on Tuesday. The police say a 20-year-old laborer of Ottley Hall was shot about his body by an unknown assailant with intent to commit the offense of attempted murder. The complainant was rushed to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, where he is receiving medical attention. The police are soliciting the assistance from members of the general public with information that will aid with the investigation and the prosecution of the perpetrator or perpetrators. Persons are asked to contact the ACP in charge of crime at 784-456-1339 or the officer in charge at CID at 784-456-810. That's 1810, or any police station.